Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm not the Rolling Stones. I'm actually Henry Tenby, and welcome to this edition of Model Moment. We've got a lot of interesting stuff to get through in today's show. I've got a lot of neat stuff I want to share with you, and we're going to get to it right after this quick word from our trusted sponsor. Are you a die-hard av geek who loves aviation videos? Welcome to JetFlix TV, where all the aviation action is. Stream and download hundreds of aircraft action videos on all your favorite devices. Sit back, relax, and start enjoying the best in aviation action movies exclusively from the crew at JetFlix TV. See you rampside. Well, hi everybody. I hope you've all had a very good summer here in Vancouver, British Columbia. It has been rather warm, on the warm side, I'll say. Probably, this is the way things are going to be moving forward in years ahead from what we're told. Today was around 30 degrees Celsius, which for Vancouver is certainly warm, but I've had a good summer so far. I've been busy with the models, and I hope you guys have also had a really good summer. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're down under, I hope you've had a good winter. Whatever the case, I hope the last few months have been productive for you in terms of finding models or restoring models, collecting models, whatever you're into when it comes to the aircraft display models. I hope you've had a good past few months since we've last spoken. Got a lot to share with you today. I've got some models to share with you. I've got some news to share with you, and we've got a very, very full mailbag. So just a lot of neat stuff that we're going to go through. But let's start off with the models that are right here in front of me. Some neat corporate aircraft, actually. This is a United States of America. It's a citation. Registration is N3, and it's actually, I'm not sure if you can see the branding there on the stand. This is actually a Micro West model made in Santa Ana. Well, the area code is 714, Orange County. And I believe Micro West is still in business. I'll have to do the research on that and let you know. But this is a really beautiful model. It would be, as I say, a Cessna factory model. And this model, this Nemoto Learjet, is 1/50th. So I'm going to say that this is also a 1/50th scale model. It's made of resin, pretty well done actually, super accurate, and I've never owned a Micro West model before. I don't know if you guys have had Micro West models in your collections. Curious to know what you think. What other models of theirs have you owned? And what do you think of the quality of Micro West? It's a company that's been under my radar for the last few years. I'm kind of aware that they existed, and I know they've been around for some time. I believe they do a lot of biz jets and corporate and general aviation aircraft for the manufacturers. So I'm not sure if Joe Q Public can actually purchase their models. And as I say, I'm not even sure if they're really still in business. I hope they are, because they did really nice work. I mean, this is a good looking model. As I say, it's nice and accurate. It's resin, but it certainly does present nicely. The stand is super hefty as well. Some really good heft there. So yeah, so this is Micro West. And on the other side of the screen here, this is a very cool model. This is a Nemoto model, real aircraft, CFTXT. And it's a resin model. It's one of Nemoto's later resin models. This actual aircraft was delivered from Lear to Exec Air in Montreal. They were a Montreal-based corporate general aviation facility, FBO, and a bizjet and corporate aircraft operator that was quite well known in the 60s and 1970s, Exec Air. So yeah, they actually had this real aircraft, and it was painted just like this, CFTXT. So it's actually the real McCoy. It looks damn cool, doesn't it? And I like the fact that they put the real ident on the aircraft. So yeah, this is a Nemoto. It's got the standard Nemoto stand Standard Nomodo stand. That's good, right? Yeah, it has your trademark Nomodo metal stand with the screw in the under base. But yeah, it's a real nice model, mint condition. So I'm in Canada. This model originated here in Canada, and it's absolutely a beautiful model. It's a lovely model for my Nomodo collection. So I just wanted to share these two very interesting models with you. But we do have some interesting letters in our mailbag, and I'd like to get into some of these letters with you at this time, and then we'll do some of them later as well. First of all, I've got an email from Brian Roche, and Brian writes to me, good afternoon, Henry. It's Brian Roche in Edmonton. I hope you're keeping well. I'm in need of some expert advice. Well, I'm happy to give it if I can. And guys, if you'd like to contact me, don't hesitate to send me an email. My email is henrytenby@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to answer everybody. And some of the more interesting letters I'll bring onto the show. So Brian asks, I'm in need of some expert advice. I'm trying to complete a collection of the aircraft that I've actually worked on in Canada's high Arctic. In search of a Nordair 737-200 in the white, yellow, and blue livery. I was wondering if you had any knowledge or ideas or could help me in this quest for a professional display model of a Nordair 737 in this livery. Well, I call this livery the Sunburst livery. It was Nordair's last livery before they were merged into Canadian in the mid-1980s. He also states, Henry, I found a lot in the 1/400 scale, and he says any help would be appreciated. Well, Brian, I don't collect die-cast models. They're nice pieces. They're well done. The people that produce them, I have a lot of admiration for them, and they're all doing wonderful, wonderful work. Especially the guys that I've known for a very long time. Gemini Jets, In-Flight 200, and Andrew Klein as well. So they all do great stuff, and kudos to them. And again, I'm in awe of what they're able to do, but I can't collect everything. So my focus is on, the travel agent models. And I have never, ever seen a travel agent model of a Nordair 737-200 in what I call the Sunburst scheme, which was their last scheme before the company, as I say, was merged into Canadian. So if anybody out there knows of the whereabouts or the existence of a Sunburst Nordair 737-200 executive model, please do chime in, let us know. Maybe you could contact me, send me a photo. I'd love to hear from you. I do know that the old blue livery, the Nordair blue livery with the large N on the tail, those models exist. I've seen 1/50th scale Pacific miniature models of those, and I've also seen the precise topping models, although they're rare in 1/100th with that livery as well. So they're out there. They're rare, but I don't know that they're ultra rare. But in terms of that latest livery that Nordair had, that's something special. I actually remember seeing that aircraft myself with my own eyes when I was attending University of North Dakota in the mid-'80s. And I would fly in and out of Winnipeg during school holidays. And I remember seeing that Nordair Sunburst livery 37 parked at the Winnipeg gate, like 1983, 84, 85, in that time frame. I also saw the aircraft down in Fort Lauderdale doing charters when I used to head over to Florida to take slides during spring break. So Brian, good luck with that search, and thank you very much. I do appreciate your very, very interesting inquiry. Now, I've got an email here from John Wilson, and John writes, simple question. He says, hello, Henry, I'm curious, where do you get all your airline decals for your restorations? Do you print them yourself? Jason, it's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. I get my decals from all of the regular airline decal makers that I think we all know, Runway 26, F Decals. There's a company here in Canada producing decals, whose name I don't quite recall, but I'll certainly think of it soon. And of course, there's Greg Draw Decal as well. And all of these guys produce wonderful, wonderful decals. In most cases, they offer the usual scales that we all build in, 1/100th, 1/72nd, etc. In some cases, these decal manufacturers, if you contact them and they have the time, they will do rescales of their artwork into, whatever particular model scale you're building. And I recommend them all. Definitely Ray at runway 26 is often very busy, but he sometimes can do rescaling work. The guys at F Decals in France, on their website, they actually have when you go to a particular decal that you like the artwork of, they offer it in a wide range of scales. I think 1/44th, 1/200th, 1/100, 1/72nd, etc. So you can choose all the regular scales that are available for their decals that are laser printed. Any decal that is printed with an Alps printer technology, that is quite difficult to do, and they don't often offer those as rescaled artwork. So just be aware. Yes, I do my own artwork as well. I'm not a real highly skilled decal drawing guy. I'm old school. I tend to use Photoshop to do my decals, and I know there are, like Corel Draw used to be a fantastic software for designing decals, and there's other software out there today which experts work in to produce beautiful artwork, and I haven't crossed the Rubicon and developed those skills yet. It's on my to-do list, although I'm almost 60 years old, so I'm not sure when I'll have the time, but I know people that get great success using fantastic graphic design software that's available from Adobe. So check that out as well. But to answer your question, yes, I use my own decals, which I have printed from a printer shop here in Vancouver that actually has one of the old color photocopiers that can print on the decal sheets, the clear decal sheet paper that's produced by Papillo paper. I use Papillo decal paper, clear decal sheets for doing my own decal print work. So Papillo, I recommend their products. So thank you very much for that excellent question, Jason. That was really, really good. And then our final question of this particular section of Mailbag comes from Gordon Cragg, a collector in the United States who's been collecting models for a very long time. Gordon writes, "Hi Henry, I just saw your Model Moment episode on destroyed models." I'll try to drop the link to that particular episode into this video here. So if it's available, it'll be in the upper right-hand corner right now. Gordon says, "I picked up an ad in Hagerstown, Maryland. This model, it's a Fairchild factory model. It's either made by Verkyle or Fairchild, and it's a 1/50th FH227. They actually took two 1/50th F27 models, cut them and mated them together to make an FH227. The model is on a heavy plastic stand with the Fairchild Hiller logo. This is in the restorable category, but I need to find a cast of some Dowdy Rodal prop spinners." So it's interesting. Yes, I am aware that Fairchild did used to take Verkyle models and chop them and put in sections to stretch the 1/50th metal models to become FH227s. And I guess they had some degree of success. I know Tony Hick in Calgary had one of these, I call them Frankenstein monsters because they were kind of created in a lab. They're not the purest model, if you will. And Tony did a fantastic job in restoring one of these models. And he also saw the innards of these and how they were cut, and then a section was put in to stretch the fuselage of an F-27 into an FH-227. So they're out there, and thank you so much, Gordon, for bringing that to my attention. I do appreciate it, and that's some great display model history that I'm happy to share with everybody on the channel. So thank you very much, Gordon, for that. So now what I'd like to get to is what I call some vintage unboxing ceremonies. So this is going to be neat. This is going to be fun, guys. Here I have a box, and it says fragile, handle with care. It's quite an old box, and I'm gonna open it up. Let's see what we've got, guys, because this is gonna be fun. Let's see what we have. So this box opens up like yay, and we have a neat model in there. So just gonna pull this apart so you guys can see what's gonna come out of this box. And let's open it up for you guys. You can have a look. This model would be, I'm going to say from the 70s. And set this down. Well, there we have it. This is a brand new old stock. It's a Saudia L1011. Registration HZAHA. The model, of course, is brand new in the box, never displayed. It's a one-piece resin, plastic, fiberglass. It's quite a heavy model. And look at this, guys. It's an original TriStar stand. Isn't that beautiful? And the model just sits like that. That is so neat. The scale is, I'm gonna estimate probably 1/250th. I think it's a bit smaller than, it might be 1/200th. It's in the 1/200th to 1/250th range. And these models would have been procured by Lockheed when they were marketing the TriStar to various airlines. And this model, I believe, was made by Pacific Miniatures or could be one of the other companies in Southern California at the time that was producing models. But my gut feels is that it was made by Pacific Miniatures. Not often do you see one in as mint and nice condition as this. Isn't that neat? I mean, it's so rare that you actually, see one of these brand new in the box, in as produced condition. Look how shiny that is. Isn't that neat? The model is, as you can see, essentially it's mint. This is how they would have made the model, and it's really cool. I like it a lot. I don't know, have you guys ever seen one of these in the box before? I'm guessing some of you might, and some of you guys in the US probably have tons of these mint models. But yeah, it is for the L1011 collector. This is something quite special. So there you go. That's mint in the box. Let's bring that into center view there so you guys can have a look at the lines on that. The decals just went on so nicely, and the quality of the workmanship is really, really good too. So now the model has no yellowing at all. It is, I'll just give you a bit of a round robin tour of the model. Is that nice? Yeah, it presents really quite nicely. So usually, these show up, I've seen them on eBay, but in, be it thrashed condition, not in brand new in the box condition. So there you have it. It's a beautiful model. I picked it up from a friend of mine who is a longtime collector, and I just thought, yeah, that would be a neat model to add to the collection. So what do you think? What do you guys think about this model? Do you guys have these models? What other airline, if you have one of these, what livery do you have this model in? I'm guessing they were in, like British Airways and, Air Canada, Eastern Airlines, TWA, all the major L1011 operators of the day probably had these models in their liveries. So I can't imagine there being an operator that didn't feature with this particular model, because this was like a low-cost model, I would say, for Lockheed. They probably gave these away in some quantity to the airlines. I don't think this is a super, super rare item, but in this condition, it is rare, because I'd say there are very few that are mint in the box, never displayed. And this would date from the mid-70s? So we're talking 50 years ago. The model's 50 years old. So yeah, there we go. That's our first unboxing ceremony, and now we'll get on with our second unboxing ceremony. Okay guys, this is our unboxing ceremony number 2. So for our military model collectors, this is a neat looking box. It's certainly old. Let's open this up and see what treasure we have in here. So, to open it up, right off the bat, I'll try to show this to you. It says, if I can get this, if you can read that right there where my fingers are, it says Precise Models. Precise Models, P.O. Box 166, El Raya, Ohio. So, let's see what's hiding in this box. Something neat, that's for sure. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, this is absolutely gorgeous, guys. I'm not going to pull the stand out because it's very intricately packed, but I know some of you guys are very much into Israeli Defense Force models, and this is a fabulous factory. Well, this would have been made for the factory. It's an F-16, and the quality of the finish is absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure if that's a real ident because the Israeli Defense Forces is very, very security conscious when it comes to identifying their aircraft and the number of aircraft they have in the inventory. So this is probably a bogus bureau number or serial number. But look at this, isn't it? I mean, look at the painting on the cockpit. The quality of this model. I really had no idea that Precise Models make such a beautiful piece, but look at the lines on this aircraft. I mean, look at it. I guess it's made of resin, but wow. I mean, can you see that? Look at that. I mean, you can just see this thing climbing, and I mean, it just looks absolutely, you know, you've seen the pictures of these flying over the Negev desert, you know, in formation, and they've always got the idents airbrushed out. So look at this model. This would be a sales model for sure. Precise would have produced them for General Dynamics for a presentation to Israeli officials. Probably, when would these models date from? 1980s, I'm guessing. You guys might be able to chime in and tell me. But I'm guessing, you know, I'm not even sure exactly what model of F-16 this is. Is it a C? I don't know, but I'm sure you guys know. And these models would probably date, again, from the 1980s. There can't be too many of them around. Well, I guess they exist in Israel, but, you know, in Air Force offices, at air bases in Israel, you know, they're probably around, but I don't think they're in this condition. This is mint, never displayed condition. So, yeah, can you imagine the aircraft climbing like that or like that? I mean, you can just imagine this doing spins and interceptions, and wow, isn't that gorgeous? I mean, I really love this model. It's absolutely a stunner. So, I know some of you guys are absolutely nuts about Israeli aircraft, and my arm might be able to be twisted to part with this model if you have something special that I'd like. So, you're welcome to get in contact with me, but isn't that a neat model? It's just absolutely killer. Yeah, stunning. Really, really neat. I was not expecting such a beautiful piece. I mean, just look at it. Look at that. It's absolutely, it's a little bit dusty, but it's been in the box for the last 40 years. So this is what you call a mint in the box contractor's model. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm just pinching myself because, I mean, I'm really opening this model for the very first time. So we're both enjoying it together. So we're all enjoying it together, I should say. But yeah, let's now move on to our next unboxing event. Yeah, it's cool. Very cool. Okay, guys, here's the next model. Pac-Man box. So let's open this together and have a look at this. It's going to be fun. I'm excited as you are. So we've got our trusty box cutter. So we'll open this up and see what treasures are waiting for us. I love opening up models, and here we go. Pac-Man models, when they're in the box, the original box, and ideally never displayed, definitely have a higher value. than those that have been displayed. So here we are. We're just gonna take the foam out. You can see we've got standard packaging in there to keep everything nice and tight. So, oh yeah, this is nice. This is nice, guys. This is a beauty. I think you guys are gonna like what you see. Got an original A320 stand there. And I'll just take out, well, can you guys see what that is? No prizes awarded for guessing what this is. We've got a set of silver A320 wings. So here comes the crowd pleaser, guys. Are you ready for this? Because this is very, very cool. So quick sneak, guys, quick sneak. Look at that. This is the Trans-Canada Airlines A319. It's a Pac-Man, never displayed. I was putting it together for you guys to enjoy. Isn't that a beauty? We'll just mount it on the original base. And then I'll tell you about the model. And the aircraft, actually. The actual aircraft was delivered from Airbus to Montreal Dorval Airport, and I was there for the occasion. It would have been July of 1997, just before I actually started working for Air Canada, albeit briefly. I was in Montreal that particular day when this aircraft was delivered, and look at this model. Isn't this beautiful? I believe only 10 of these models were made. It is extremely rare. Your chances of finding one of these is similar to finding a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. The model's mint. It's in the box. It's never displayed. The model is 25 years old. The real aircraft was painted to celebrate TCA's 60th anniversary, as you can see, 60th anniversary. And believe it or not, this year, 2022, TCA is celebrating, what is it, their 85th birthday. Of course, it's their 85th birthday. They were founded in 1937, so it's 85 years ago. 25 years ago since this model was made and the aircraft was delivered. So isn't that historic? And the model, of course, is just so beautiful. The story is, I believe, the salesman, who I believe was Anthony Lawler, specially ordered a small number of these models for very exclusive handout and to airline VIPs. He organized the ordering of these models. I did not acquire this model from Anthony. It came from another source. But needless to say, it's extremely rare, and there's only 10 on the planet. So when you compare it to Pac-Man models that were produced in terrific quantities, this is quite a valuable and rare model, in my opinion. So do you have one? Look at this. There's a fly on the tail. Son of a gun. Do you have one of these? Do you have any Pac-Mans that were produced in ultra low quantities? Again, the fly is certainly attracted to this airplane. I don't know if that means anything, but look at him. He's just crawling over it like a son of a gun. But that's because it's so hot here in Vancouver. Even in this room, in my model room, it's quite warm and toasty, so we've got some insects about. But look at the lines on this model, isn't it? It's just so nice. And the Trans-Canada Airlines livery is beautiful, isn't it? I mean, I just sit back and look at that and just love the models. So it's beautiful. It's just beautiful, and I'm happy to be sharing this with you. And it is appropriate that we unboxed this model in 2022, which is exactly 25 years after this aircraft was presented and delivered. And as many of you know, Air Canada has painted a C series, a Canadair C series, which they now call the Airbus A220, into this same livery. This aircraft was retired, and I guess it's going to be scrapped. It was retired very recently. So yeah, it's just beautiful. Isn't that nice? So yeah, real cool, isn't it, guys? I hope you've enjoyed that. Yeah, really neat model. So we'll carry on with the show now. And yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Well, guys, while we're on the subject of Air Canada, I thought I'd share this model with you. This is a new model to my collection. It's missing an engine, but it's something I've never seen before, and I'm wondering if anybody can tell me who made this model. It's plastic. This is one of my own stands, by the way, that I offer for sale, and I'm going to drop a link in the description, in the video description. If you're interested in ordering any of my stands, I do sell them in groups of 10 for a very reasonable price, actually. So if you need model stands that will make your models look elegant like this, you might want to purchase some of my stands while I have them available. So yeah, as I say, the link is in the video description field. But this model is a very nicely made model. It's plastic. I don't know when it was made. I don't know where it was made. There's no maker's name on it, CFTHC, but it is very well made. And is it made by Vanguard? I know that Vanguard made an Air Canada Viscount in 1/100th. He told me he was going to make one, although I never saw it with my own eyes. But if anybody out there actually has a Vanguard Viscount, can you chime in and let me know if this is one of them? Because I've never seen it before. Look at that. There's 2 holes in the belly for stands. There's these flap track decals. As I say, I've got to get a spinner made, which I will. But it's a neat looking model. I like it. And it's just something that I've never had before. So curious to know what you guys can tell me as to who made the model. It's just neat, right? It's something that, again, if you're an Air Canada and Viscount fan, and look at the detail, actually, of the exhaust stack, or the exhaust port under that engine. It's not a resin model. It's like plastic or fiberglass, and somebody went to the expense and effort to make a pattern to make this model, and I'd love to know who it is. It's definitely not an Atlantic Models resin model. Absolutely, without a doubt, not Atlantic Models. It's not the predecessor to Atlantic Models, Helio. What was his last name? Belazonte or something of that nature. I don't think it's a model that was made by Helio in the 1980s. And it's just strange that somebody went to such effort to make such a nice Air Canada Viscount model, and they never went to the effort to promote who they are. Definitely not made in the Philippines. It's not a wooden model. Don't know if it was made in the UK. I'm thinking it might be a Brian Austria Tompkins model, an executive display model of Brian Austria Tompkins, because I believe his stands screwed in there and had a pin to prevent them from spinning. So I'm thinking it might be executive display models because it does have that quality. So if anybody does have an executive display model, Air Canada Viscount, and can confirm that this was made by executive display models, Brian Austria Tompkins, in the 1990s, that would be great to know. Those models were priced at £200 in, as I say, the mid-90s. So they were incredibly expensive, and I'm leaning towards executive display models. The props there were blades on the props. They've broken off, so I'll probably treat those with a razor blade and repaint them, and I'll resin cast or 3D print another one of these blades. So I'm going with executive display models. If anybody can refute that or give me any intelligence as to if it was executive display. I mean, look at the detail on the inboard intake. There's an inboard intake on the number 2 and 3 engines. You can see them quite clearly. So what do you guys think? Is this executive display? I would bet it is, but I wouldn't bet my life. So anyhow, look forward to hearing what you guys have to say as to who made this amazing model. And let me know what you think. It's cool, isn't it? It's a very neat model. Very, very neat model, and certainly well made. So there you go. I thought I'd share this with you, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. For you Vickers Vanguard lovers out there, I've got a real special model to share with you. Look at this monster. This is a 1/72nd cast aluminum Vanguard. Look at this. It is absolutely unbelievable and unique. Do you guys know what this is? Some of you might. I actually produced this model. It's a cast aluminum, solid aluminum. And here's the story. Gosh, about 20 odd years ago, there was a man here in Vancouver, a German gentleman who was a master foundry guy, and I had found him, and he did some limited metal castings for me. So this is what I used as a pattern was an executive display model, blank, or it might have been a Westway blank. And he cast, I think we did 4 of these castings. And I kept one, and the others were sold to friends of mine. And over the years, at some point, I needed money, and I sold the very one that I had, the last one that I kept for myself. And I didn't have it. I didn't have one of these in my collection. But very recently, a fellow collector, a friend of mine here in Canada, who I had sold the model to decades ago, or almost 2 decades ago, he put a lot of work into the model because he completely polished the wings up, and he did a lot of reshaping. There was a lot of heft in the lower back end here, which he filed away. He did I don't know if you can see it, but he did the scribe lines of that. He also did the flap scribe lines on the upper wing surfaces. And he did other work just to make the model look really good. And when I I was recently in Winnipeg, and when I saw the model and saw the work that he did on this, I was unbelievably impressed with what he did on the model. And my eyes were popping out of my head because, I mean, he took the casting and he made it look fantastic. So there are, I believe I had 4 of these cast. So this is one of 4 on the planet. And in 3,000 years, this model will still exist. It's made of steel. It will last in 10,000 years, this model will still be here. It's essentially indestructible. It's, you could send, as my friend said, you could send this model out into space, and in 20 million years, it'll still be floating through space, looking just like this. So you can't say that about resin, plastic, wood. This thing is forever. And look at it. It is such a beautiful, hefty looking model. And I'm just amazed that I actually had the foresight to have these castings made. And I know one is with my friend Andreas in Germany. I actually got this from my friend Mark. I believe Anthony has one, and I don't know who has the other one. So they are extremely rare. This model will be finished in Air Canada livery, and I think it's going to look absolutely fantastic. Just look at it. I mean, the wings, the bare metal polish on the wings is absolutely stupendous. Wow. I love the model. Even unpainted, the lines on this model are absolutely incredible, aren't they? I mean, you can picture this airplane in Air Canada livery, Trans-Canada Airlines livery, BEA, Invicta, Merpati, you name it, right? British Airways cargo. But I think for me, this has to go into Air Canada livery. And it's a Lifekeeper model now, and I want to thank my friend Mark for his lovely work. And I thank Mark for trading the model back to me, because it's just something, that I've got a personal connection to the model, and it is absolutely unique. So I hope you like this, and I'll keep you guys posted as I go through the restoration process on it. But it's looking really good, and yeah, love the Vanguard. Just love the Vanguard. 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. It's terrific. Guys, if you're enjoying this video, there's a small $sign located in the bottom of the video frame. If you click that $sign, you can make a donation to support the JetFlix TV channel. I would very much appreciate any donation that you are able to make. Thank you very much for your support of my channel. Okay, guys, we'll go to some letters again from our mailbag. This letter is from Jake Schaefer, and Jake writes, "Hello, Henry. I was referred to you by a friend who had very high praise for your work." Thank you very much for that, Jake. I appreciate that. He says, "I've been trying to find a builder or company model or even a maker to commission a 1969 Ted Smith Aerostar 601, and I've been looking for 10 years or more. I should say I've paid for 3 different companies to make the exact same aircraft for me with the same color, same registration, and they all made it wrong. The model just doesn't look right. Is this a model that you have or that you can make? Any suggestions will be appreciated. Jake Schaefer, Tulsa, Oklahoma." Jake, thank you so much for your letter. Aerostar model I think it's a very unique type. I have never seen in all my years of collecting an Aerostar model. I'm sure they exist. Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking maybe MicroWest, the company that made the FAA Citation model that I shared at the beginning of the video. It would be worth researching to see if that company ever produced an Aerostar model. The other recommendation would be to contact the manufacturer of the Aerostar and see if they could point you to who they might have ordered the models from back in the day when the aircraft was in production, or who they could recommend as a model maker today to produce such a model. Now, when you say, Jake, that you've had 3 models made and they're all not very good, I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that you had these models commissioned by various model producers in the Philippines. Now, as you all know, I am not a lover of Philippine models. What they make it satisfies the market demand that they cater to, which is basically the non-sophisticated collector that wants a model and needs to fill a hole and isn't too concerned that the models are, well, they're inexpensive, but they're also quickly made and they're not generally very accurate. So they're not models that I collect, and I would never recommend that anybody purchase a Philippine model unless you want to fill a certain hole in your collection and you're prepared to turn a blind eye to the inaccuracies that are generally prevalent in Philippine models. So that's my guess as to where you had your models made, and it's just a rare type, the Aerostar. I'm going to say that I believe that I have seen metal models of Aerostars, and I'm guessing they were probably something like this, about that big, probably 1/32nd scale or 1/50th scale, and I believe they were made in Europe. I think they might have been made by Thermo. I'm not 100% certain of that. So one possibility would be to acquire one of those metal Aerostar models when they appear on eBay. They are usually thrashed and looking rough, but you could purchase one. I don't think you'd have to pay much money for it, maybe couple $100 tops, and you could then have the model professionally refinished. I do not do third-party refinishing work, but there are certain companies that do excellent refinishing work, and I'm going to put some links into the video of some of the companies that I would recommend as good refinishers. Certainly, if you're in the United States, there's 2 companies or two sources that can do good refinishing work. There's Atlantic Models in Miami, and also in Florida, there's Dan Asher. Dan does absolutely fantastic work. Really, Dan is just doing so amazing work. I congratulate him in his work. He's a professional in every respect, and I definitely would highly recommend that if you have refinishing work that you need done, don't hesitate to contact Dan Asher for a referral from me, and he'll be happy to help you. So I will provide Dan's link and credentials in the video description below. So that would be my best advice to you, Jake. So good luck with that search. So that's something that's going to be a challenge, and I'm sure it'll be rewarding when you do actually find that Aerostar model. My next letter comes from Meyer Ben Ziv in Haifa, Israel. And Meyer writes, "Dear Henry, the Cougar model that you sold me is now proudly displayed among my periodic peers. It's a beautiful model. And I've just completed leafing through your phenomenal aircraft display model guidebook. It is such a wealth of information, and what a quality of photos. It's second to none, and I'm so happy to have received this book from you. It's a real treasure. Thank you again. Wishing you all the best, Meyer." Meyer, thank you so much. It's always good to hear from you, and I hope all is well in Israel. And thank you for purchasing the Cougar model, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's an old topping model from the 1950s. And for those of you that don't have my book, this is a good opportunity for me to plug it. I'm the author of the Aircraft Display Model Collector, Investor, and Appraisal Guide. It's a all-color volume loaded with information on all the most famous aircraft display model manufacturers and the values of their models. I published the book a few years ago. It's a self-published project, and you could purchase the book directly from me, and I'll pop the link into the item description below. So if you don't have a copy of my book, I think it's important that you at least consider it, and the information's there for you should you wish to add my book to your book collection. So again, Mayor, thank you very much for your very kind words, and I'm glad the Cougar model is now safe with you. So my next letter comes from fellow model collector Joey Bombacci of Phoenix, and Joey writes, "Hey Henry, I picked this up. I've never seen one before. It's a 40th scale National Airways Corporation of New Zealand Boeing 737-200 in wood from New Zealand. It was found 40 years ago, and it was saved out of a trash bin with an NAC sign. She's about 29 to 30 inches long. I don't want to restore it, but maybe you know who made it. It is very accurate, and I've never seen one this big in wood ever before. It may have been a one-off made model in New Zealand for NAC corporate offices, from what I was told. I do want to fix the engine somehow and clean up and touch up the model, but I want to leave it as original as possible, as it is so rare and I've never seen one before. Let me know what you think." Joey Bombacci. Well, Joey, it's an absolutely interesting model. I have, of course, I've seen, when I first saw the picture of the model, I thought, oh, that looks like a Pacific Miniatures model, but the Pac-Man models were 1/60th scale, and models made by Westway, the large 737 models from the 60s and 70s, are 1/50th scale. So this model is actually is a different scale. It's 1/40th scale. It's even bigger, and it's made of wood. It's something completely unique. I do not think it was made by the Boeing model shop. I do think it was probably made, as Joey says, by craftsmen in New Zealand using Boeing prints. It is in rough shape. Myself, I would probably do more in the way of restoration than what Joey wants to do. But look, this is a completely personal decision, and there really is no right answer on whether you restore a model and to what extent you want to restore the model. I think I would probably repaint the silver and do spot touch-ups and repair, do an epoxy repair on the tail. That's kind of the way I would lean with this particular model, and I'd probably try and find a Pacific Miniature stand of that era and use that for presenting the model. But it's definitely a nice find, Joey. I don't know if any of you guys out there have ever seen or come across a 1/40th wooden 737-200 model before, looking quite accurate. But if anybody has any intelligence, any ideas on what the source of this model might be, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me or leave your comments in the comment field below. So thank you, Joey, for that very interesting letter, and do keep them coming. I appreciate them very much, and it's always good to hear from you, Joey. So thank you for that. Comes from Robert Graham, and Robert writes, "Hello, Henry. I have a very interesting model. It's a Curtiss-Wright Sc1 Scout model. The model is quite heavy. It appears to be made of metal. It's approximately 12 inches long with a 15-inch wingspan. The model appears structurally sound and all the key parts are intact, although the paint is missing in some spots, as you can see from the photo. The canopy has come loose and it will require gluing. The model is heavy and it's on a heavy stand, and the stand is also intact and in rough condition. Again, we're still in the research phase here with this model, deciding what to do with it. So I'm not sure which way we'll decide. I've not seen anything similar before, so any general information you might provide on this model would be appreciated. Thank you, and we'll be in touch. Bob. Well, thank you, Bob, Robert, for that very interesting email. The Sc1 Scout is, or was a World War II reconnaissance single pontoon float reconnaissance aircraft built by Curtiss Wright, deployed in the South Pacific, I believe, and I guess possibly in the Atlantic theater as well. This model is definitely unique. It's out of my area of expertise. I'm going to venture that it is most certainly a factory model, a contractor model built by the Curtiss Wright, or certainly built for the Curtiss Wright company during the World War II era, and it is rare for sure. But just a few things. I mean, yeah, the model's in fairly rough condition. I think I would classify this as a specialist piece. I don't think it would have a super wide base of attraction to it. It does require, I would say the model needs to be completely and totally refinished. That's just my opinion. You can ask 3 different people and get 3 different views on that, but just that the paint is so far gone, I'd be inclined that it deserves a complete restoration. The stand I would probably not do anything with. But thank you for reaching out on this particular model to me. I know Curtiss Wright did also make, well, they made in-house models, because I've seen beautiful small scale C-46 models that were made during the World War II era. Those models are absolutely beautiful, very accurate. They're about something like that. So Curtiss Wright did make beautiful models. They're out there, and I think they were made in decent quantities, and they can be found throughout the United States if you look hard enough. But this one's definitely a different model. It's rare, but I really can't speak to how many were made or the extent of the rarity or the value, just because it's something that I'm not 100% expert on. But thank you very much, Robert, for your interesting email. It was great to hear from you, and I wish you good luck in your research on this interesting piece. Guys, our next letter comes from Brian Jones of Ontario, and it is Stratocruiser time. So Brian writes, "Good afternoon, Henry. I have had excellent dealings with you over the last few years, and I've attended 2 of your airline collectible shows in Vancouver. I actually have 2 of your DFM copy DC-8s in my collection downstairs. I viewed with interest your take on the Stratocruisers in the California desert in your JetFlix YouTube video. This happens to be my favorite airliner." I'll actually drop the link to my Stratocruiser video into the upper corner of this video, so you might want to have a look at what video we're talking about here. Anyhow, Brian says, "As a child, I had the good fortune to ride on a Pan Am Stratocruiser between Bermuda and JFK. Fantastic. That's amazing. Incredible, Brian. Such incredible memories you must have. Anyhow, that would have been around 1952. I'm 74 now, and I've been retired from Air Canada as a pilot since 2007, where I worked for 36 years. I retired on the A340 type. I had the good fortune some years ago to acquire a Stratocruiser travel agency model from a gentleman in the UK, although it was in poor shape. I've attached some post-restoration photos of this model, and you may not recognize the livery, but when BOAC took delivery of their first ships, they had this minimalist look, and that's how I decided to have my model restored. I'm still looking far and wide to find examples of the nose decals and the below cockpit windows." So anyhow, our conversation turned to the pedigree of the model, because Brian's model looked similar to my model, which you see right here. And this is a bronze art model, and it measures about 12 inches with about a 19-inch span. And I've got this model sitting on one of my own stands that I produced, which I'm plugging for sale. So it looks good on my own stand. But we continued our correspondence back and forth, and I asked him if he knew who made his model. So basically the upshot was, Brian responded that he said, a gentleman I deal with in the United States put me on the right track. If you look at page 284 of Anthony Lauer's Book of Models, you'll see an exact copy of my model in the displayed photo. It was apparently manufactured by a company by the name of Bronze Art, which you can read about on the internet. It makes sense. Upon taking ownership of the item, I noticed 2 spots on the airplane, and I attempted to remove the original finish, and it showed a bronze patina underneath. Anyhow, I believe the scale on my model is 166. Now, that raised an interesting question, because Brian's model is 166 scale. So he says the exact length of my model is 20 inches. Okay, so he does the math and he says, I come out to a scale of 166. Well, I have a bronze art model, and this model is only 12 inches with a 19-inch span. So although the models look the same, they're different sizes. Brian's model is 16 inches minus 12 inches. So I think we've just discovered that Bronze Art actually made 2 different scales of their Stratocruiser model. I had no idea. I did not know. Maybe you guys knew, or maybe some of you guys knew, that Bronze Art actually produced the Stratocruiser in different scales. But it was a revelation to me that Bronze Art actually produced 2 different scales of the model. And I'll just take this off the stand. Again, this is a hefty model. It's a solid model. I mean, it's a good solid piece, right? But it's a nice and accurate model. I'm in the process of refinishing mine as well. I'm not going to take it down and have a metal coating put on it. I'm just going to paint mine silver, and I'm not sure what livery I'll do. I'm thinking I'm going to do the Pan Am meatball livery, just because I like the livery, and it will present nice in that color scheme. I think it's nicer than the American Overseas scheme. Northwest might be a challenge to do the window treatment on. Look, the windows are actually cut out in a moto style, and but yeah, it's a nice model, and it'll look good. So there you go. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I found it really interesting that through my correspondence with Brian, we were able to learn something. We learned that Bronze Art, which was an American company that produced primarily U.S. World War II airplanes for industry during the World War II era, and then, well, they also dabbled in commercial aircraft post-war, including the Stratocruiser. They're a long-gone company, and you know, all we know about them is what we discover through the models that get handed down through the generations. So what do you think of this model? It's really cool, isn't it? I think the shape on it is absolutely fantastic. So there you have it. It's just a very, very, very nice Stratocruiser model. So yeah, that's a really neat article. That's just, it's the real deal. It's absolutely the real deal from the 1940s or 1950s. So there you have it. Well, guys, while we're on the subject of Stratocruisers, and we were talking about a larger Stratocruiser scale to this Bronze Art, here is underneath here, I've got a smaller one. I just acquired this nice little model, and I'm gonna show it to you. This is a very cute model made in Germany. I believe it's made by Scharschmidt. It's a very, very, look at the construction on it. It's just so nice. It's solid aluminum, and isn't that, it's just cute. It's gonna date from about 1954, and Pan Am would have ordered these from Scharschmidt at the time, and it's just all original. I mean, I'm missing one of the spinners. As you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, but I'm missing this one, so I'll have to have one of these 3D printed probably. And it does need some touch-ups, as you can see. I will touch it up, and I think once I've done the touch-ups, it'll look a lot better. I think it's in such a condition you wouldn't refinish this model just because it's not that far shot that it's one to be refinished. But I think just with some very gentle touch-ups, it would look a lot better. And yeah, it's a keeper, isn't it? And I just really like the model. It's just cool, isn't it? I mean, this is, again, you know, these metal models in 1,000 years, they'll still be here. And we'll be long gone. Who knows about our civilization and whether even these YouTube videos will still be around. There's a bloody fly on the #1 engine. Look at that. Yeah, he's riding a Strat. So, yeah, these models will be around for thousands of years just because they're made of metal. The paint finish may wear away, but you know what? I've seen models of Egyptian boats that were produced 3,000 years ago, and those boat models they have certain color and paint on them that still remains today. So there's kind of no reason to suspect that if stored and handled properly, even the paint that's on this model should last a few thousand years. I'm quite serious about that. So it's a neat model, isn't it? I mean, yeah, the Stratocruiser has a very neat lines to it, and yeah, neat. It's very neat, and just wanted to share these models with you as we were on the topic of Stratocruisers. So, do you guys have? Or yes, I'm curious as to what other airline liveries this smaller model Stratocruiser was made in. I do believe that it was done in the all silver scheme. My friend Andreas in Germany said that he is aware that these models were made in all silver, and I'm guessing they were probably also made for American Overseas because they flew to Germany in the post-war eras as well. Yeah, that fly is just being a son of a gun. So, but yeah, isn't that neat? It's a nice model. So, yeah, I love the lines on it. It just has a good feel to it, I think. Guys, I have something interesting to tell you. I have been in touch with perhaps one of the world's best builders of museum-grade model rockets. His name is Alex Lefka, and he lives in the Ukraine. And his models are absolutely unbelievable masterpieces. And I'm trying to help him out. He is looking to build models for collectors and museums, and he specializes in the Soviet rockets of, you know, the 1950s and 1960s, like, you know, the Soyuz and the other rocket programs that were famous during the space age and the space age development of the 1950s and 1960s. His models are all 1/40th scale, and they're unbelievably intricate and beautifully detailed. His material of construction is fiberglass, metal, and wood, and this man is an absolute master of what he does. And as I say, you know, I'm completely, you know, in awe with his work, just because of the situation over there right now, and we're not going to go into the politics of that. It's difficult, and you know, he's a model maker by trade, and he is trying to work and, you know, sell his work abroad, and I am representing him and helping him with his sales. So if you would like to have one of these amazing models in your collection, please don't hesitate to contact me. They're massive, and they can be purchased on installment purchase. And I've produced a video actually that explains and shows a lot of Mr. Lefka's work. So I will link that video to this video as well. And if you are interested in having some of this man's amazing work in your collection, please do contact me. He would be very appreciative to build a model for you. The prices do range, you know, they start off at about $2,000, but it does take him 2 to 3 months to build one of these models, and they're 1/40th scale, so they are really large models, large and impressive models. So if you yourself would like to have one of these models in your collection, or if you know of a museum that might like to have some of Mr. Lefka's work in their collection, please let me know. He's built for the museums in the Ukraine, in Russia, and in Europe, and he'd love to be able to sell some of his models to museums here in North America. So if you're connected in any way with the procurement arm of a museum and would appreciate Mr. Lefka's work, he would be eternally grateful to hear from you. So thank you very much for that, and I think you'd certainly be very interested to watch the video that I prepared. So I'll link that into this video as well. So thank you for that, guys. Appreciate that. Well, guys, we opened the show with some business jets, corporate aircraft. So I think it's appropriate that we bring the show to a close also with corporate jet. In this case, this is it's a beautiful model. It's a probably late 50s or well, 9 designates that this aircraft, if you can see that the bureau number here starts with a 9, that means this aircraft was procured by the U.S. inventory in 1959, the U.S. military inventory number or ident number. The first letter, the 9, indicates 1959. So that's when this aircraft was ordered. And it probably was delivered, I don't know, in maybe 59, 60, 61. I'm not sure of the exact delivery date. But this is the late 1950s, early 1960s color scheme for the Sabreliner. And this model is, it's never been displayed. It's in mint condition. So it's a topping model. And I guess it's also 1/50th scale, similar size to the other corporate aircraft that we showed earlier in the show. So this is a topping model. Topping models are all made of plastic. And as you can, well, I'll just show you the stand. It says what it is. It says a Sabreliner, T-39 Sabreliner. And if you look underneath the stand, there's actually a sticker that says made by Topping Models. And this model is mint condition, absolutely mint. In the box, basically, this is the condition straight out of the box. It's in really nice shape, and these models are, I guess they were produced in some good, decent quantities, back in the 60s, but finding them in mint condition, of course, is more of a challenge, and they made them in all different colors, I believe, different schemes. So this is a nice early scheme. The stand is all original. And yeah, this is a topping model. Topping models are quite nice. In most examples of topping models, they produced large quantities. I think perhaps thousands of models, and they were distributed throughout the U.S. military to all branches: U.S. Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and to generals and all the upper brass. Received lots of these models. So they do show up on eBay quite a bit, but again, in beautiful condition like this, harder to achieve. So isn't that a nice model? It's a really nice piece, and I do like the day glow wingtip decoration and the tail decoration. The day glow is looking really cool, and of course on the nose, and the nose is just in really nice shape. There's no knocks on the nose. It's just as it was made by the topping company. So there you have it, a really nice topping model. So guys, in closing, I have some very important news to share with you, and that is the Amsterdam show is rapidly approaching. The Amsterdam Aviation Collectible Fair will take place September 17th and 18th, 2022 in Amsterdam. It's a 2-day show this year, and it hasn't happened since before the pandemic. So there's a lot of pent-up excitement amongst us aircraft model collectors. I'm going to make my best effort to attend. I'm looking forward to seeing a number of you there. We're going to have a lot of fun, and it's not going to be rushed, and we're going to be able to meet with each other and have a lot of good conversations about models. And I hope to see you at the show. I'll put the link to the Amsterdam show in the video description below so you can check it out. You might want to book your hotels because I think they're probably going to start to fill up, and it's going to be just a fantastic time. Patrick and his team have done a terrific job promoting the show. Kudos to Patrick. I'm going to try to have a table at the show where I'll have some good stuff with me. I'll try to bring some goodies, perhaps some models and some other bits and pieces to share with you guys, perhaps some of my books for sure. And I'll look forward to seeing as many of you that can make it to the show as possible. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. So yeah, Amsterdam show, put it on your calendar. It's going to be September 17th, the weekend of September 17th and 18th. And I really look forward to seeing you at that show. So thank you very much for watching this show with me, guys. There's a $ at the bottom of your video screen, and all you have to do is click that $, and you can make a donation. Any amount would be really appreciated, and it helps support the channel. So thank you very much for your consideration. Again, there's a $ in the bottom of the video, and you might want to make a small donation. It would be massively appreciated. At the very least, please don't hesitate to tell your friends about the Model Moment videos, and it costs nothing to hit the like button, the thumbs up button. So please do that, and you'll be notified of any future videos published here on the JetFlix TV channel that I operate. So thank you very much, guys. It's been fun, and I look forward to seeing everybody very soon, probably after the Amsterdam show. So wishing everybody a good closeout to your summer. Have fun, happy collecting, and thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye for now. Happy collecting.